Welcome to this episode of Strength Climbing. My name is Jędrzej. I'm a climber and climbing researcher, and today I'd like to talk about Hangboard Repeaters, a training protocol that's really well known and well established in the climbing community, but I don't think we understand everything about it. So in today's episode I'd like to explain step by step what it is, when to use it, why we use it, and how to effectively design your repeater training sessions. So I've been climbing for about 20 years, and in the beginning when I started I had little access to lead climbing gyms, and also it was difficult for me to get to the cracks. So most of the climbing I did was bouldering, and I complemented this bouldering training with hangboard training. And back then the only hangboard protocol that I knew, and the only one that was popular, were Hangboard Repeaters, 7-3 repeaters. So 7-3 repeaters essentially is a hypertrophy oriented, anaerobic lactic endurance oriented protocol. And then in 2019 I started strength climbing, and I started doing research about climbing training. I started reading scientific papers that were emerging, papers from authors like Eva Lopez, Dave Giles, Simon Fryer, and I started to evaluate my physical climbing performance with dedicated tests. I developed my own testing methodology based heavily on the testing methodology developed by Lattice Training, and I started measuring my finger strength. I started measuring my anaerobic alactic endurance, my anaerobic lactic endurance, and my aerobic endurance. And in the beginning, since I did all this repeater training, it turned out that my fingers are quite strong, and that my anaerobic lactic endurance, which is something that we need for, let's say, short cruxes or maybe longer boulders, was really high. But my aerobic endurance was low. And aerobic endurance is basically what lead climbers need to do long pitches or to recover between cruxes. So this was something I lacked. And I focused heavily on developing this aerobic endurance. I developed my own training system to train aerobic endurance specifically. And I managed to significantly increase it over time. And recently I've done some tests again, and it turned out that although my aerobic endurance has significantly improved, my finger strength and my anaerobic lactic endurance are slightly lagging. So I would like to, now with this new training cycle, I would like to improve my anaerobic lactic endurance specifically. So that's why I'm going to design a Hangboard Repeaters training cycle, and I'm going to talk you through how I do it so that you can do it on your own as well. When we train Hangboard Repeaters, this is a high volume protocol, okay? So we don't necessarily want to do it in season, or at least we need to be mindful of the recovery time that we need when we do this. So for example, a lengthy Hangboard Repeaters session may require 1 or maybe 2 days of recovery before we can hit the gym, or before we hit the crag with full power again. Okay, so this is something that we need to keep in mind when we design this training. That's why it's usually best to do it off season, during the winter months, maybe when we are not climbing that much. So for my Hangboard Repeaters training, I would like to address several climbing positions, and these climbing positions are as follows. I'd like to develop better endurance on medium edges. Okay, so this is a Beastmaker 2000 small edge. It's about 13 millimeters, I would say. I would like to improve my endurance on pockets, 2-finger pockets. So I'm going to use these 2-finger pockets here. I'm going to use the middle ring position and the index finger middle position. Then I would also like to focus on slopers. So I'm going to use these medium slopers of the Beastmaker 2000. Okay, and I'm going to hold them with my thumb here. So it's going to be a sloper and a pinch at the same time, let's say. And it's like a really, really wide pinch. And with the thumb, I'm going to get some stability, okay? So that's how it's going to look like, okay? And we are going to try to develop some 2-finger pocket strength. I'm going to use the slack board, 3-finger pockets. And finally, I'd like to address pinches, okay? So for pinch training, I'm going to have a pinch block with a block here so that I cannot wrap my fingers around the pinch block. I'm not going to use a hangboard for this, because the thing with the hangboard is that when you're training pinches, you're not necessarily pinching with your thumb. The thumb may stay totally inactive. You can hang by squeezing with your chest without activating the thumb. That's why we like to avoid pinch training on such a fingerboard, unless you are doing one-arm hangs, maybe. That is okay. But we're not gonna go into that right now. So yeah, we've got our finger positions. Let's write them down. Okay. So order is important. Okay. So we are going to do a high volume training protocol. So we need to keep in mind that as we go, we are going to get more and more tired. And because of that, we need to arrange this tactically. So we want to start from the most difficult holds so that as we fatigue, we are still able to execute the drill with easier holds, okay? So we can either control it by managing the load appropriately, so we can reduce the load as we go, or we can just use positions that are more familiar to us, that we know that we are better at. I think for myself, the most demanding position will be still the middle edge half crimp position. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to write half crimp here, HC, okay. And the 2-finger pockets definitely are going to be a challenge. I'm going to do the index middle first, then I'm going to do the slopers, then I'm going to do the middle ring, index, middle, sloper, okay, then we're going to go middle, ring, then I'm going to go for pinches, and I'm going to top it up with the 3-finger pocket. One very important thing is the load. What loads are we going to use with our Hangboard repeater? If we're training hypertrophy or we're training anaerobic lactic endurance, we want to be in the range of about 60 to 80, maybe 85% of our maximum finger strength, let's say. Now, first, how do we define maximum finger strength? There are a lot of ways, but we need to come up with a way that's tailored to our protocol. We are going to do 7 free repeaters. That means that we are going to hang for 7 seconds, then we are going to rest for 3 seconds. And for each hold position, we are going to repeat that 6 times. And that's going to constitute 1 hold position. And we are going to go through all 6 hold positions. And then this is going to be 1 set. Okay? As I'm starting the training cycle, I'm going to start with only 1 set per training session. And then I'm going to ramp up the volume. So at the end of the training cycle, I would like to do 3 sets per session. We are going to hang for 7 seconds. So that's why we are going to define our finger strength in terms of 7-second hangs. Okay? We call this MVC7. So this stands for maximum voluntary contraction, 7 seconds. Okay? We may just as well define MVC5, MVC10, MVC12, whatever. Okay? These constructs can all be useful. But for the purpose for today, we are going to define MVC7, and this is going to be our 100% effort. Okay? So we want to, now for each hold, we need to define, calculate, measure our, let's say, 70% intensity. Okay? So for example, if our MVC7 on a 20 millimeter edge is 100 kilograms, and we are talking about 2 arm hangs. So if our MVC7 is 100 kilograms, then of course our 70% will be 70 kilograms. Okay? That's logical. However, there's a nuance to this, because we are not always able to measure exactly 7 seconds. Okay? So if we tried to measure 7 seconds directly, first of all, for beginner climbers, this could be a little bit dangerous. Okay? If you've never done heavy hangs, you don't want to go into maximum 100% intensity right off the bat, right? Because you could tweak something. You could tweak your fingers, you could tweak your shoulders. Another thing is that, let's say you start with 85 kilograms, okay? That's your 85%. Okay, and then you hang for like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, and you're like, yeah, I can go heavier. Okay, and then you go like 95 kilograms, okay, and you could still go heavier, right? You could hang for 12 seconds. So you go 105 kilograms, okay, and then again, you can't hold 7 seconds. And you're looking for this exact 7-second load. That's fatiguing, okay? It's like a good training session in itself. But if you want to be efficient, okay, and if you want to do it safely, then you need to find another way. So the way to do it is that you don't necessarily need to hang for exactly 7 seconds. You can have an approximate load, okay? Preferably smaller than your maximum intensity. And hang for longer, and then you recalculate, okay? How do you do this? Well, this has been already researched in the 50s and 60s by researchers that dealt with fatigue. We have something that's called Romer's curve. And I've investigated this Romer's curve and tried to apply this to hangboarding, okay? A relationship is fairly straightforward, okay? And I'm going to show you what the relationship is and how you can use it to calculate your training rates, okay? So we have our MVC7, and that's going to be our 100%, okay? So let's say we have 7 seconds, okay? That's our 7 seconds load. It's 100%, okay? So it could be 100 kilograms, it could be 120 kilograms, whatever, okay? This is our 100% effort, and this applies for any hold, okay? let's say we want to measure our MVC7, but we were hanging not for 7 seconds, but for 10 seconds, okay? We know from literature that our 10-second effort will be about 96%, okay? If you've hung for 10 seconds, okay, that means that the load was too small, okay? You could go heavier. So all you need to do is divide the load by 96%, okay? If you've hung for 12 seconds, then it's 94%, okay? So again, obviously the load that you were using was too small because you were able to hang for 12 seconds. So you divide by 94% to arrive at your MVC7. If you hung for 15 seconds, then it's 90%. And this is where things start to deviate. Especially, you see it especially at 80%. Okay, so 80% could be anywhere between 25, 35 seconds. Such test hangs are already quite impractical because you are already getting quite tired with such hangs, okay? So we would preferably like to stay within this 10 to 15 second range. And here we are very, very accurate. And this is the approach that I'm going to use today to establish my training loads. Another thing is that we do not need to obsess about determining the loads super correctly, super accurately. Because if we are just starting out with our training cycle, we want to ease into it. So we want to err on the side of lighter loads, okay? So when in doubt, use a lower load. And if it's too easy, then in the next training session, you can always increase. But the thing is that with such a high volume, you are likely going to get tired anyway, okay? So we are not aiming to do recruitment here. We do not necessarily need to use maximum loads that we are capable of, but we can settle for lower loads. And also, it's a good idea to run the tests in a session, in one training session, because if you have established the order of your hold positions, as you go through them, you are going to get tired. And in the same manner as you progress through your training session, you are also going to get tired. So that means that the intensity will be adequately reduced. Okay? Right. So what we need to do now is we need to determine the training loads for each of these positions, okay? And I have a fairly good idea of what the training loads are going to be for me, but still I'm going to demonstrate, okay? Just to show you how to do it, okay? So we're going to start with the half crimp position, okay? And it's always a good idea to brush your hangboard. You don't want a grimy, greasy hangboard. So we are brushing. And now you need a timer, okay? So there are a lot of apps available. You can use repeaters apps. I like to use a metronome. And yeah, because it's just simple. I don't need to worry about setting the app. I just press and count, listen to the beep. Okay, so I'm going to use a metronome for measuring my MVC, okay, my maximum voluntary contraction, and to determine the intensity. Okay, so let's start. So I could feel at the end of the hang that I'm getting quite fatigued. Okay, I probably could have gone on for 40 seconds or something, but I think 30 seconds is fine. So if we keep in mind that 30-35 seconds is about 80%, then I think if I go for body weight, and that's about 67 kilograms with my clothes on, then it's going to be fine. So that makes things simple. Okay, and oftentimes for these 7-3 repeaters, you are going to use body weight. Okay, so that's really, really convenient. So 67 kilograms. Okay, fine. Let's do the same for the 2-finger pocket. Okay, so I am a little bit weaker with the 2-finger pocket. So I think, and especially with the index finger, middle finger position. So I think I'm going to reduce my load and by 5 kilograms. I'm going to reduce my load by 5 kilograms and try to establish the correct load. Okay. So I need to put on my harness. Safety first. And now I'm going to test my 2-finger pockets. So I'm going to use this for counterweight. This bucket full of lead. And we've got 5 kilograms. There's my trusty pulley system. Now, when you're using such systems for unloading, for reducing your body weight, it's essential that you use good quality pulleys. If you're serious about your training, you need good quality pulleys, because otherwise you are going to get a lot of friction and you will not be sure of how much load you are removing. So these pulleys have about 90% efficacy, right? And there's 2 of them, so this is also important. Some people use 1 pulley. I like to use 2 pulleys. So the load goes here, and I attach this end of the string to the harness, and this is the best setup then for unloading, for reducing your load. Okay, your body weight. So now we are going to reduce my body weight. Okay, and we're going to go for this position. I'm starting the timer, and let's see what happens. I've done 25 seconds, and I can feel that this was a little bit too heavy. It was on the heavy side. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to reduce my load by 2 more kilograms. Okay, so I'm going to use 60 kilograms. Okay, so 67 minus 7, that's 60. So for this particular position, I'm going to use 60 kilograms. And I think this still will be a little bit heavy, but this is the second position, so I think I can afford this. Okay, I think it will still be fine. Okay, so now sloper time. Okay, slopers are a tricky hold because they are really, really friction dependent, of course. And I remember one video from Manny the Monkey where he was trying to hang on these most difficult slopers of the Beastmaker 2000, and he couldn't understand why it's so difficult for him to hang, and he found that heavier climbers often have an easier time hanging on these slopers, and that's likely because they get more friction. They have more pressure on these slopers. Maybe they have bigger hands, maybe they have bigger friction surface. That's also possible. In any case, it's really difficult to unload your slopers effectively, because if you have a hard time hanging with your body weight on the slopers, if you reduce your load by 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms, that doesn't necessarily need to help. Okay, I've tried it, and sometimes you just don't see the effect. Okay, so I'm going to try with body weight. Okay, and see if I can hang for 20-25 seconds. Maybe I'm going quite fast, but these are different positions, so I still feel kind of fresh. No problems here. Let's go for the slopers, okay? So that was 20 seconds. The problem with slopers is that you are slipping, okay? So although it was quite difficult to hang for 20 seconds, I think that in the context of repeaters, when every 7 seconds I can adjust my hold, it should be possible to execute this, okay? So what I maybe should have done was put slopers in the first position, but I think I can still get away with slopers as the third hold position in the set, okay? So I'm going to write down 60 kilograms for the slopers. 67. So that's my body weight. I'm not going to reduce the load. And now we still got 3 hold positions to go. So I need a little break. Again, this time minus 5 kilograms. I think that should cut it. Okay? So hold on. And let's begin. Okay, 20 seconds. I think this will be fine. This one's okay. Just the beginning, I feel that heavy. I'm probably getting warmed up more and more. What I don't necessarily like about this setup is that these two pockets are really quite close. So the position of your shoulders is suboptimal. Like for really heavy hangs, you don't want to have the shoulders so close together. It's more comfortable and safer to go for a little bit wider arm width, shoulder width positions. But okay. Okay, so we've got middle ring to cover this. It's gonna be 62 kilograms minus 5, right? 62 kilograms. Now let's go for the pinches, okay? Pinches. My left hand is a little bit weaker than my right hand, so I'm going to measure for both of them separately. I estimate that my training load could be around 15 kilograms. Okay. So I'm going to put 2 more kilograms into the bucket. Okay. We've got 15 kilograms. I have my link lock And I'm gonna start the clock and see how long I can hold this. Okay. So 20 seconds, and this was practically maximum effort, okay? So now, when we look at the table, we can see that I haven't even reached the 80% ballpark. I would say that that was 85%. So now, we can practically calculate our exact right hand load with a calculator, okay? So now I'm going to show you how to do it. We take the calculator and we had our 15 kilograms and that was about, I would say, 85%. So now we need to multiply because our load was too big. We need to multiply times 0.85, so 12.5 kilograms. Okay, that would be my right hand load, 12.5 kilograms. So I'm going to write right hand 12.75. Okay, if you want to be really exact. And now let's measure the left hand. Okay, so I think 12.5. Let's try for the left hand 12.5. Okay, so let's get back to the metronome. And I'm going to reduce the load to 2.5 kilograms. Okay, so this is going to be about 12.5 kilograms. And let's try with the left hand. Okay, let's start. Okay. I could hold it for 30 seconds. It started slipping. So again, this is a similar situation to the slopers. The hold starts to slip eventually. So I think, again, if we're talking about 7 free repeaters and I can adjust the load every 7 seconds, this shouldn't be that much of a problem. So to keep it simple, I'm going to write 12.5 here, so we're going to have a consistent load for the left hand and the right hand. Again, it doesn't really matter that much as long as we do not exceed a certain intensity where we are unable to execute the drill, okay? So that's fine. And the final position we have to test is the 3-finger pocket. And I think here again I'm going to go for body weight. I can run a calculation again because for Bechtel's leathers, and I use 86 kilograms currently for this hold, and for Bechtel's leathers we are talking about 92% intensity. So I would say 12 seconds. Let's keep it. Let's do it another way. As you can see, 15 seconds is 90%. So 86 kilograms for the 3-finger pocket is my 90%. So if I want to know what my let's say 70% load is, I'm going to first calculate the 100% load. So I'm going to calculate 86 divided by 0.9. So now I know that my MVC7 on the 3-finger pocket is 95.5 kilograms. Okay. And now I'm going to calculate 70% of this times 0.7. That's 66.8. That's exactly my body weight. Okay. So that's perfect. Again, How convenient. Okay. So I'm going to try with my body weight. See if I can hang for roughly 20 seconds. Okay. I could hang for 20 seconds, 30 seconds shouldn't be a problem. So I think we can stay with this load. Perfect. 67 kilograms. There we are. I have established the training loads for each hold position for my repeaters training cycle. Now the big question is if I didn't go overboard, okay? So will it be possible for me to execute a set with these hold positions, with these loads? So I think right now we are in the right situation regarding fatigue. I have done all these tests. I'm pretty fatigued now because these 20-30 second hangs, they really take a toll on the system and on the resources. So I'm in a situation similar to the situation in which I'm going to be when I'm actually executing the drill. I'm going to be tired. So let's say I've done the first set. Now I want to know if I do the second set, if I'm still going to be able to do it, right? So this is perfect. So now I'm going to go through all these positions. I'm going to actually execute a set and see if it all works out. And I'm going to use the Beastmaker Trainer app, okay? And this app is pretty handy. It has some drawbacks, but it also has some good features and advantages. So I'm going to set, for each hold position, I'm going to set 6 reps, right? 7 seconds hang, 3 seconds rest. And I'm going to use a 2-minute pause between hold positions, okay? So now we can easily calculate that if you have 6 hold positions and it takes 1 minute to execute one hold position, and then you rest for 2 minutes, then it's 3 minutes per position, so it's 15 minutes per set, okay? And then you need to rest, and a good rest interval between sets of such repeaters would be 10 to 15 minutes. I usually use 12, okay? So then, let's say it takes half an hour to execute one set. So it'll take you 1 hour and a half, right, to execute 3 sets, give or take, okay? So that's already quite a lengthy hangboard session. 1.5 hours. That's a big volume session, okay? So you may need to recover for 1 or 2 days afterwards before you go climbing again, okay? Okay, right. So we've got this covered. And now let's start the training with the half crimp position, okay? So I'm going to set up the phone here. And we're ready. We're ready to go. I'm in cycle. Always helps a little. Okay, let's go. That was pretty difficult. You may have noticed that I'm not shaking out between each hang, and maybe I should, okay? So, shaking out definitely affects your performance. Some people shake out vigorously. You only have 3 seconds, so it's just the right amount of time to drop your hands, shake out, and grab the holds again. As I said, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. If I'm feeling confident, sometimes overconfident, then I regret it. So I think it's okay to shake out. For the endurance repeaters, I recommend that you just lower your hands and grab the holds again. But that's another story. Before doing a test, we are doing an endurance test. We want to be consistent. So if I have multiple clients and I want to compare their results, I want them to perform the exercise always in the same manner. That's why I recommend just to hang, lower your hands, grab again, and don't shake out, because it really does make a difference, okay? So it's time for slow burst, okay? So we have successfully completed half grip. We have done 2-finger pocket. That was quite okay. Now let's see how the slow burst go. I'm a little bit worried that I may have overdone it, but let's see. That was difficult. With this load, I'm definitely moving more towards strength endurance, anaerobic alactic training. But maybe that's good because my slow burst strength is really low. So might as well stick with this. I can carry out the rest of the drill. I need to clean them maybe. They're getting slippery. And I'm going to clean the pinches as well. Makes a whole lot of difference. So I've been using these gloves for quite some time. They have already become quite slippery. That's okay. When you're training on wooden holds, temperature makes a lot of difference. So we are around maybe 5 degrees right now, maybe 10. And that's pretty good. If it's warmer, then it becomes more difficult because of sweat. If it's colder, wooden holds become like glass. So you can ask Split if he has his moonboard. He used to have wooden holds on his moonboard, and he always said that they felt like glass, so if it was cold. That felt fairly easy. You can rest for 2 minutes. Now you may have noticed in my pinch-board that I have a hook here and a hook here. And with this smaller hook I can attach the load here and I can train narrow pinches like this. Okay? So what I've learned recently from the Movita video, I don't know if you know the channel Movita, it's a very nice one. Shout out. And when you're training wide pinches, this muscle here works. Does the work, okay? A lot of the work, whatever it's called. And when you're doing narrow pinches, this muscle does the work, okay? So that's cool. And these are 2 different muscles, so you need to train both, okay? Although, well, such narrow pinches, I don't know if they are very common, but you may not realize it. I didn't. Well, I didn't think about it too much. I thought that the majority of the work is done by the finger flexor muscles here, which admittedly it probably is, but a lot of the work is also done by these muscles of the hand, okay? Like the one here, the one here. So these shouldn't be neglected. Perfect. That wasn't easy, but it's not supposed to be. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this little lecture. I hope everything is clear. If you have any other questions, please write me. And I know I've touched on a lot of topics here, and I haven't touched on a lot of them as well. So I will try to provide any missing information in more videos, so please subscribe. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. See you. Bye.